Hi, I'm Cole Riggs, and I'm here with Andrew Logan. We are going to talk about the salary cap removal in the NBA. So, first of all, let's talk about your 4 years at Shriner and just the whole experience playing basketball.
It was good. It was started off a little rocky, but obviously we finished well. It took a lot of hard work and dedication. There are times where you want to quit when things aren't going right, but you just got to pull through and pull it all together.
Okay, and now moving forward to the salary cap removal. In the past year and a half or so, they have removed salary caps in the NBA, and just tell me in short, do you think that's positive or negative for the NBA?
I think it kind of depends. I mean, so obviously some organizations are going to agree because they're getting the better players, but then again, it's kind of leaving the other teams in the dust. Obviously the Warriors are a super team. The Cavs are now a super team. Just signing all these multi-million-dollar contracts with no cap is kind of dumb because the same two teams are going to be in the finals every year. So I just feel like it should be regulated of some sort. But I mean, the positive side, it lets the best players in the world play together on the same court at the same time on the same team. So I mean, it just depends how you look at it.
And for the teams that don't have the ability to pay, like the Cavs and the Warriors, what do you think their leagues or their organizations are feeling in times like this when they're not doing as well because they can't pay the same amount as the Cavs and the Warriors?
I think they're kind of obviously they're gonna be upset about it, but I mean, that's when they're gonna start the whole tanking process or the rebuilding process, such as the Mavs are doing right now. They're gonna try to build through one guy, and hopefully it's the LeBron James of the league at their time, and wait for all the great players now to retire so they can be that next team to step up when an opportunity comes. So it's just it's a waiting game for those teams.
Yeah. And with that, according to a bunch of sports analysts, broadcasters, people who just really study the sport and have very much knowledge of it, they have said that it is going to decrease the competitiveness and it's going to just continue to go down. What are your thoughts on that? How do you see the NBA going? What route do you see it going down in the next few years?
I feel like it's still going to be up there, obviously, because it's one of the biggest sports, especially on the biggest stage on the planet. But I feel like it could have a couple of. I mean, I already hear stuff from people I know about how they're seeing the same. When LeBron was on the Heat, it was the D-Wade, LeBron, the Heat and the Warriors in the finals. Now it's the Warriors and the Cavs in the finals every year. So I hear that a lot. So it just depends on the management, to be honest. If there's any kind of regulation put in place that kind of makes everything fair again, makes for a better competition.
And talking about the regulation, where do you see this? Do you see this taking place more in college sports in the years to come?
I don't see that happening. I would like to see the one and done go away, just because I would like to see them kind of, the football rules stay at least 2 years. I think that kind of makes everything better. And but I mean, mostly it's definitely going to come from the start in the NBA. It's not going to come from the college level.
And locally, the Spurs are always been a good team, but they don't have the kind of funds to pay like the players like they do in Cleveland or Golden State and just places like that. How do you see that's affected them? They've always been successful, and this year obviously they're not having the success they usually have.
Well, I mean, I think they have a great player, Kawhi, to build around already, but he's been out all season, so I mean that could kind of messing him up from the get go, but. I mean, obviously it screws them, especially when they meet the Warriors every year in the second round of playoffs, third round of playoffs, wherever they play them. But I mean, it's kind of if you get the super team, then you're lucky. If not, then you're kind of screwed. So.
Yeah. Okay. So another question: how do you see this affecting other professional sports like the NFL, the MLB, in years to come?
I mean, I think it'll have the same kind of impact. But I mean, I'm not the person to ask about the MLB or NFL because I'm not going to give my opinion because I don't know much about their standpoint on it right now.
Okay, well, lastly, now your opinion. What do you think about this whole salary cap removal?
I personally think it's dumb. I think it does bring competition because it brings strategy to the table on the GM's part. You know, if everyone has $150 million to work with for contracts, you know, who are you going to build? Like, you can have a one-star player, surround him with 2-3 defensive players, and the other 2 just catch and shoot guys, or, you know, like, you're going to have a point guard that can create well, surrounded by shooters, and, you know, a big guy down low. So I feel like with the salary cap, it kind of brings that GM and coach role back. Instead of now, it's just like just a bunch of all-stars go out there and play by themselves with no coaching role at all.
And now from that response, it makes me think. So saying that, you know, more players kind of have one role, they don't have to be like, they don't have to have that coaching aspect like you were just talking about without the salary caps. Do you think more kids, like younger kids, will start just perfecting one aspect of the sport rather than being an all-around player like it used to be? Because they see that the professionals are kind of getting by with it now?
And not necessarily. I see, well, I mean, kind of. You see all the 6'10" high school kids now starting to play the outside game, putting up a lot of threes. And there's really, like, nowadays no kids that are just dominating the post. And, I mean, that's just how the game has evolved with, you know, Steph Curry and James Harden and everybody else that kind of play outside in. And everyone wants to be those 2 guys. So, I mean, you can kind of say they're kind of going towards a one-way player, but you just, you know, people are just evolving so much nowadays that there's just so much talent.
That makes me think of another question. So, yes, we're talking about the physical game, but what about the mental game? Do you think this kind of takes away, like, the love and the attitude for the game because they're able to just get, you know, money out of it for being good rather than just, I don't know, playing the game? And
Oh, 100%. I definitely see it affecting their mental standpoint. You see so many people nowadays that are so mentally weak, you know, just can't handle themselves in the game setting. I mean, you're on the biggest stage, you can't be throwing fits on the court, you know, mid-game and getting ejected. That's just killing your reputation. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that could start at the younger age with the, you know, influences, but without a kind of a coaching role or like an enforcing role, then those guys, those superstars are just going to do whatever they want, and they're going to get away with it just because they're who they are.
And how, if, say, salary caps were to be slowly implemented back into the NBA, how do you go about that? Like, how would you, say, slowly implement them back after people have already kind of gotten used to, like, them not being there? How do you implement them back?
I don't think there's a way of slowly implementing. I think maybe you can establish maybe a high salary cap, sort of.
Higher than it was before?
Yeah, and but I mean, you're just going to have to enforce the salary cap all at once just to put it all back into play. You can't really allow some teams to have it, some teams not. It's not fair. But to kind of get the gist of things, you just kind of got to maybe raise what the salary cap was and then put it back to where it was, but you can't, unless you go through it all the contracts with all the big teams now and just see whenever they expire, and then put it in then. Those are the only 2 ways I see going about that.
Yeah, well, I do agree. Okay, well, thank you so much. We are all done here.